You all are having an excellent day. My name is Miss Bernise, and I started doing story time to help engage, empower, and inspire people through reading one story at a time. So, I have decided to start reading some chapter books that I have read on my own for my personal reading that I would like to share with you. And the first book that I would like to start off with is called Who Moved My Cheese? So, this story is written by Spencer Johnson. In this story, there are four imaginary characters depicted. They're mice called Sniff and Scurry, and the little people, Hem and Haw. They are included to represent the simple and the complex part of ourselves, regardless of our age, gender, race, or nationality. We all have different parts of ourselves, and this story kind of gives us some insight. And I wanted to share this story because it really helped me. And for those of us who are struggling with change or who are a little averse to change, hopefully this book will help you guys out. For those of you all who are just starting off learning how to read, you can check this book out at your local library, and they even have it available online. I'm actually reading it using a library app called Libby, um, so you can follow along the words with me as I read. Who moved my cheese? Once long ago, in a land far away, there lived four little characters who ran through a maze looking for cheese to nourish them and make them happy. Two were mice named Sniff and Scurry, and two were little people, beings who were as small as mice, but who looked and acted a lot like people today. Their names were Him and Ha. Due to their small size, it would be easy not to notice what the four of them were doing. But if you looked closely enough, you could discover the most amazing things. Every day, the mice and the little people spent time in the maze, looking for their own special cheese. The mice, Sniff and Scurry, possessing simple brains and good instincts, searched for the hard, nibbling cheese they liked, as mice often do. The two little people, Him and Haw, used their complex brains filled with many beliefs and emotions to search for a very different kind of cheese with a capital C, which they believed would make them feel happy and successful. As difficult as the mice and little people were, as different as the mice and little people were, they shared something in common. Every morning, they each put on their jogging suits and running shoes, left their little homes, and raced out into the maze, looking for their favorite cheese. The maze was a labyrinth of curious, excuse me, the maze was a labyrinth of corridors and chambers, some containing delicious cheese, but there were also dark corners and blind alleys leading nowhere. It was an easy place for anyone to get lost. However, for those who found their way, the maze held streets that let them enjoy a better life. The mice, Sniff and Scurry, used the simple trial and error method of finding cheese. They run down one corridor, and if it proved empty, they turned and ran down another. They remembered the corridors that held no cheese and quickly went into new areas. Sniff would smell out the general direction of the cheese using his great nose, and Scurry would race ahead. They got lost, as you might expect, went off in the wrong direction, and often bumped into walls, but after a while they found their way. Like the mice, the two little people, Him and Haw, also used their ability to think and learn from their past experiences. However, they relied on their complex brains to develop more sophisticated methods of finding cheese. Sometimes they did well, but at other times their powerful human beliefs and emotions took over and clouded the way they looked at things. It made life in the maze more complicated and challenging. Nonetheless, Sniff, Scurry, Him, and Haw all discovered in their own way what they were looking for. They each found their own kind of cheese. One day, at the end of one of the corridors in Cheese Station C. Every morning after that, the mice and the little people dressed in their running gear and headed over to Cheese Station C. It wasn't long before they each established their own routine. Sniff and Scurry continued to wake early every day and race through the maze, always following the same route. When they arrived at their destination, the mice took off their running shoes, tied them together, and hung them around their necks so they could get to them quickly whenever they needed them again. Then they enjoyed the cheese. In the beginning, Him and Haw also raced toward the cheese station C every morning to enjoy the tasty new morsels that awaited them. But after a while, a different routine set in for the little people. Him and Haw awoke each day a little later, dressed a little slower, and walked to the cheese station C. After all, they knew where the cheese was now and how to get there. They had no idea where the cheese came from or who put it there. They just assumed it would be there. As soon as Him and Haw arrived at Cheese Station C each morning, they settled in and made themselves a home. They hung up their jogging suits, put away their running shoes, and put on their slippers. They were becoming very comfortable now, and now that they had found the cheese. "This is great," Him said. "There's enough cheese here to last us forever." The little people felt happy and successful and thought they were now secure. It wasn't long before Him and Haw regarded the cheese they found at the cheese station C as their cheese. It was such a large store of cheese that they eventually moved their homes to be closer to it and built a social life around it. To make themselves more at home, Him and Haw decorated the walls with sayings and even new pictures of cheese around them, which made them smile. One read, "Having cheese makes you happy." Sometimes Him and Haw would take their friends by to see their pile of cheese at Cheese Station C and point to it with pride, saying, "Pretty nice cheese, huh?" Sometimes they shared it with their friends, and sometimes they didn't. "We deserve this cheese," Him said. "We certainly had to work long and hard enough to find it." He picked up a nice fresh piece of cheese and ate it. Afterward, Him fell asleep, as he often did. Every night the little people would waddle home full of cheese, and every morning they would confidently return for more. This went on for quite some time. So I'm going to stop right here and continue with us the next time as we continue reading Who Moved My Cheese. So as I read the story, you can go back and listen to it again. And this story is to help to get our brains moving a bit. Let's keep our thinking caps on and see how parts of the story may relate to us. And I'll continue again the next time with Who Moved My Cheese. Hopefully, you guys will listen again the next time. Until then, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Let's use our education for elevation. Peace.